What a lovely, exciting day, sharing, learning so much. I can't keep to the script that I'd prepared for the opening of the fireside chat. I think all of us are pretty excited about India moving towards the manufacturing hub for the world, and so much discussion around what's happening around sustainable manufacturing processes. We'll come to the second aspect of our conference today about building an inclusive manufacturing organization. And we have the privilege of having some of the leaders who are not just leading the change, but they are also, showstoppers in their own rights and role models for women who are right now here in the conference. And we have a lovely panel that we have put together for the fireside chat. And to anchor this session, I call upon Ravikanth Eranki from Cargill. And Ravi has been one of the chief curators of this conference. He's been very excited, and we've been very blessed to have him as a partner. And Ravi is the talent acquisition leader for Cargill, and he leads talent acquisition for Cargill Business Services here in Bangalore. He comes with almost 20 years of experience into strategic talent acquisition. And over to you, Ravi. You can introduce the panel, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you all. So I hope people are not hungry. We have another 30 minutes to go, but we'll keep this conversation very engaging. We shot over a little time, but I'm sure you will have a great lunch after this for sure. Yeah. This is going to be a very interesting chat. I'm actually trying to bring a very diverse panel for all of us to brainstorm. Diversity is not just about gender here, it's about the wealth of experience and the mixed experience that the panel brings. So manufacturing industry, as we all know, is the key to develop economy in any country. The GDP runs on the manufacturing sector. And the recent Outlook report, the Deloitte Outlook report, spoke about manufacturing industry has to face in 2024 certain economic challenges. There is shortage of labor, and there is also a need for product innovation, and of course we are all complied to the net zero emission goals as well. We have spoken about all of this except for talent, and that's where I'm bringing in this wonderful panel in front of you. To start with, I would like to welcome Ms. Jyoti Singh. She heads HR for Hero MotoCorp, R&D, and she is also the DI leader. Welcome, Jyoti. Jyoti has graduated is an alumni of Cornell, and one thing in our pre-connect, which is a line I really caught, is Mr. Munjal told her that a machine doesn't recognize whether the person who's operating is a male or a female. That shows the DI vision for the company, and welcome, Jyoti. Thank you for making it here. The second guest we have on the list is my colleague and brother from the TA industry, that is Karthik SM. Karthik runs TA for global TA at Biocon. He's dealt with technology as well as manufacturing with over 2 decades of experience. He's been attracting a lot of talent, especially Biocon does about 70% of hiring in manufacturing. So it will be lovely to hear his views as well. Welcome, Karthik. The third person is going to be even more interesting, Ms. Nirmala Shahpurkar. She is actually with Nestle, 32 years of expertise with Nestle, and she's been the quality head for all the products. Right now she is managing the entire portfolio of Maggi. If they're Maggi enthusiasts like me, you can catch hold of her over lunch and try to know what is the secret recipe behind that. So with that, I think it's going to be a very interesting discussion. The model will be that I have about maybe 4 or 5 questions around talent, diversity and things like that. And after that, maybe we can have a 5-minute Q&A as well. Yeah, with that, maybe I'll quickly start. Thank you. Sorry. So maybe just to start, first thing is thank you for coming. I know it's been a jam-packed event. I hope you are enjoying as much as I did. So first question for all of you is the Outlook report definitely talked about not having skilled labor for manufacturing as an industry. And whenever we go to campuses, we do see excitement to a Google than a manufacturing unit, right? So how is the whole ecosystem changing? What can manufacturing companies do better? Do you really see there is a shortage of skill? Is it a myth or is it a reality? Maybe whoever wants to start.
First of all, good afternoon to everyone. I'm sure all of you are waiting for your lunch, but I hope some of the discussions here can throw some light. For manufacturing, yes, there is a dearth of talent, but what we have seen or what we would generally do with Nestle is that we try to engage with them in the campuses itself. And there are different ways we do that. One is if I'm looking for a workforce, say for example, for workforce for the shop floor where we would like to increase our diversity talents. We are working with the ITI institutes because all our production lines we take ITI background, and all of us know that ITI, generally ladies, you find very few girls taking up core engineering or core techno related courses. So what we have done is we have started wherever our factories are, we interact with the campus of ITI, and then we have started sponsoring girls to take up courses which will help them get skill ready when we have opportunities in us. We call it the Project Swabhiman. We also engage at a second level with our campuses of food technologists, where we do go and share with them what exactly it means working with Nestle. We also have the campus recruits coming, and we have got something called the Nesternship that helps students to visit or work with us for a few months, get a feel of what it is to work in operations. And sometimes we find very good talent there, and they become the pipeline for us when we go back to the campuses for interviewing them. So we have these few initiatives to engage at an early stage with the women, and that helps us drive agenda of our diversity. Yes, it's not easy, but I think we have taken baby steps and slowly improving these numbers in our production lines.
Thank you.
All right, check. So I'll go next. So now, I think it's just a myth. We have a lot of women out there, who wants to join manufacturing setup. So I'll just start with a story, right? I think 3-4 days back, I was driving back from, so I live in Bangalore on the weekdays and weekends. I live outside Bangalore. So I was just getting back. So I was just crossing this village. Tata Electronics folks will know. So you have Kelamangalam. So then before Kelamangalam is Denganikotai, right? So a lot of your talent pool comes from there. So I was just passing by, stopped for breakfast with family. So obviously, schools advertise at this point of time. So there's a board. I'm not naming the school. The school, the board reads that 208 students all pass. Okay, number one. And then I see 22 names, with photos, all of you know, right? 580 out of 600, and out of the 28, I saw only 3 boys. Rest all were girls. Okay, so now I keep wondering, as a talent acquisition leader, where do they go, right? So what happens after that? I think we need to change the system. It's a larger problem we have. And this is quality talent, right? I'm talking about scores, right? 580, 585, 590 out of 600. So probably, and it's all next to Bangalore, right? It's not that in remote parts and stuff. So somewhere we need to change our system. We need to ensure that we provide opportunity. We make the place more excitable, workable for women. I think if we start doing that, we will definitely be able to attract more women to manufacturing. So continuing on that, so my office is, I don't know if it's strategically placed, where I opened the screen and I could see candidates walking, new joiners walking in, and then they are checking in the security thing. So every Monday we have induction. So first thing I see is a lot of, the new joiners, right, the early talent, a lot of them are accompanied by, the women are accompanied by their parents, right? They are there till 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. Some of them wait for the induction to be done and then receive them and then go back. I think that speaks about the system. Of course, somebody is worried at home that, my girl is getting into an organization, hope it is a safe place. Hope, they probably come for 2-3 days. Right after that, they are not going to come every day to escort them. So we need to work on that. We need to ensure that, we provide a lot more at workplace, which will make women to come and join manufacturing. I think some of you spoke beautifully about the contribution of women in the shop floor and how they do it, automation, etc. So I can go on and I'll allow others to speak, and I have few examples, and probably if we have time I'll share some of those best practices what we do. So it's just a myth, Ravi.
I'm going to allow you to tell those best practices, but yes.
I'll just add to this. I totally agree this is a myth. Somewhere we have been lazy, not marketing ourselves, assumed IT is a better world, so they'll walk there. And I'm myself who started with IT and moved to manufacturing. So I'll just give you an example. Last year, we were having a review and we said, only 10% of the campus graduates were able to hire are women, so the pipeline itself is not there. Forget about the growth plan. And I said, we'll hire 75%. And I was like, 75%? Are you crazy? I said, whichever college, whichever girl pass out, we'll hire that for Hero R&D. And we hired 83% GETs for R&D Hero. It was direct, it was clear, and I was like, wow. And when these GETs are walking, everybody's like, is this possible? Now, because it was focused, it was target driven, and we said we are going to do that. We started working 6 months back. Now what I did was, maybe the Marutis and the Tatas missed it, but honestly it is there. We are just not trying to reach them out. We're not talking about life at manufacturing. We are so overpowered with Google images that what Cargill does, what Johnson does, what Hero does, what Tata does, we just don't talk about it. It's not challenging. We just need to do it.
So maybe Karthik, this question is also for you. So 70% of your hiring is in manufacturing. Post-pandemic, of course, pharma is a clear focus. There is a clear focus on pharma as a whole. What impact has it had on you to attract talent, availability, and things like that?
All right. So I think just by coincidence, so I joined, I work for Biocon. So I joined them 2020, just after COVID. So, and the task given to me was to hire people, for the shop floor. And prior to this, my experience has been in tech, consulting, and all of that. So I think all of us here agree that most of the shop floors ran because essentials, medicines during the COVID, right? It doesn't really apply for the manufacturing setup because everything continued, right? 95% of our workforce continue to go to office every day, during that, because we were also supplying one of our drug, etolizumab, for we're trying whether it will work on COVID. So yeah, it was a struggle, during that time. So I think that's when we realized that, especially in our setup, we need to ensure that the talent is available all the time. It's not, all of us know the buy versus a build strategy, and many a times we go and buy because of pressure, time. probably an opportunity for me at that point in time. So we said that we'll reverse the whole thing. We are going to heavily invest on the build strategy with us. So we flipped the whole thing, right? So when we say build, I think you spoke about early talent. So it's just not campus, right? We have beautiful programs, which some of us don't really use it. So I'm sure that, you know, some of the colleagues here would have tried it, if not tried. You have NAPS, NATS, a lot of apprenticeship programs, especially when it comes to manufacturing. So we said that we are going to go back and create a pool of talent for business at any point in time and bridge the supply gap, right? When it comes to attraction, what is the problem? Plant managers, right? Many of you are sitting here, so somebody resigns, leaves in 3 months, and the recruiting team will take another 6 months to fill the position. That's a known problem. So we said that at any point in time, we will have 200 to 250 people who will, which is primarily the early talent, who will go through some form of training, right? So we have a tie with the LSSDC, you know, who do awesome training when it comes to shop floor. So and this can be 5 to 15% of your organization's head count, right? If you have 5,000 people, you can have 250 to 300 people who are part of your, you know, going through the apprenticeship program. So we said we will create skill labor. I think that's probably the challenge we all have, right? You know, when you ask any of the leader, they say that we don't get skill labor. We said we will use the 6 months. We will teach them. I think the whole idea of the apprenticeship program is to teach folks. So we will teach them, and you have attrition, right? In whatever form, like some of my HR colleagues this year, my HR colleague told me that our attrition is only at 14.5. I said, okay, give me, that's voluntary or involuntary. Like when I go back and look at the overall attrition, it's 22%. So we all know that 20 to 25% is going to be in our industry. So build that pipeline at any point in time, right? You have an attrition, so just move people, right? Ask them to apply for the jobs. That has really, really helped us in solving the problem, and 70% of our hiring is in the shop floor. We know that we spoke about analytics, using data, and you know, we can use it. We saw Power BIs and stuff, right? You need simple tools, you know, which can throw some amazing data points. You go back and do some predictive modeling, and then and you go and advise your business saying that this month, these many folks, this level, this skill will leave your organization, right? Build your supply based on that. So that's what we've been doing for the last 2-3 years. So it's really worked, Ravi, and probably, you know, some more story on the same topic, but I'll keep it, you know, a little later.
Manufacturing industry by itself, all companies are gunning for diversity. So as a DI leader, maybe in the past, maybe can you share an example of how you had to influence the business to take up to DI, number one. And today, of course, every company is looking at DI, so you have all the more, you know, maybe war for the same talent that all of us maybe in the room are looking for as well. So how are you dealing with it? What are your, maybe some experiences? If you like?
Ravi, it's not in past. Yeah. You know, it's like every minute of it, you have to talk about it. It's mindset. And DE&I cannot be, you know, we have to hire more women. That has to be the way of working. You just we can't make bikes which are not engaging the women folk. We lose 50% of our market share if only men are designing it. It's very clear. How do we do it? I'll just share an example. Last July, you know, our Niranjan CEO, he said that I want infra up. And I was just, you know, in the mode that we have best in the class offices, we have best in class infrastructure. What do we need an infra up? He said, can you just do an audit of how many washrooms we have? I was like, what? How many women security officers do you have? How many, you have women across all the levels? And I looked at data, and it was like an eye-opener. After that, we did discussions, and every line manager, every assembly line was given a target. And today we have our engine assembly line full of women. Now what we did was not just give the target. We said, why are we not able to get women? Now there are many issues. There are health issues. When we go for contingent labor, they're coming from really, I would say malnutrition areas. Their health is bad, they're anemic. So we made sure that our medical, offices are more equipped. If there's a woman who's having a low BP, we are immediately able to address, not say, oh, she can't handle it. We created conveyor belts because, most of the women average height is 5'2". Conveyor belts are not designed for that. Ergonomically, women cannot stand on that line and do all that manual work. There are hardships. This is not an easy work. You have to continuously work. Manual work is there. So we made sure that there were platforms. So if anybody recall the equity image which was released by UN, which has, the platforms, so that everybody gets an equal opportunity, that was exactly visible at our plants. We created platform for women who are short, can stand on the platform and work on the conveyor belt. Now moving the engine takes a lot of muscle power, right? We don't want to say you can't do it because you're not designed to do it. We made sure that the conveyor belt, the assembly line is made to encourage them. So we made pulleys. They can just with little force push it up. That entire change, created such a wow factor that when you today walk into Hero assembly lines, you'll be like, is this the same world I was walking a year back? And we brought these changes in a year. We have a Tirupati plant where women said we want to make rangolis. Now you go there, it does not look like a traditional boring assembly line with grit and grease. It is so colorful. We said, okay, this is your home. Do whatever you want to. There's such a positive energy because we just said, all right, the machine cannot be touched, rest everything is yours. So the color, the vibrancy which they bought, and now they just bring more women from their areas. So this is something which has to work at multiple levels. Security guards, they will harass you. You can't go from there. The way they'll talk, women will feel intimidated. They don't want to mess up with them. We changed them. We hired more women security officers. Our washrooms, I have done an audit of 100% washrooms. Whenever I'm visiting a plant, I'll make sure that I'll visit their washroom which the contingent workforce is using so that the checks are there. We changed the whole narrative. You have areas where men can collect together, have a smoke break. We created areas and we said, this is your gossip area, go and have fun. You have to create it. You have to make them comfortable. You have to make sure that when they go back home, they talk great things about it. They don't talk about the stress and the toll and the... I started 20 years back and you reflect to it. I started using those abusive words at home because I was working in the men's world and I would copy all of it. And then I realized, what the hell is happening to me? Because that's the environment. So we said, we'll change the narrative. We'll create it more women-friendly. And in many of our areas, there's one man and rest of the women. And they say, "Main to bore ho raha hu." All the women talk in their women world. I said, I've been into the reverse side. I'm enjoying it. So I think it's a target. You have to talk more about it. We're not talking about feminism. We're not saying give us favors. We're not saying pick a woman. We're saying pick the right talent because any product which goes out, the consumer is women, right? So you have to also bring that taste and that's really helping us out.
Beautiful. So I have one follow-up question to your example. So when you have to maybe get a pulley, you have to raise a platform. This is all costs. This is a capital cost at the end of the day for the business. As a DI leader, how easy or difficult it is for a business to invest? Like Panish made a very beautiful point, right? For CSR, whether you're profitable or not, CSR is something that we will do, for example. Like that, is there more commitment that is coming in? How do you drive that balance? Like
I would say Hero is an organization where there is so much of commitment to all of this. And we often play, one ad, ladki chala rahi hai, right? We said when even we didn't have so much of buyers, we talked about it. So if you have to ask money for this, I don't even have to present a business case. So we have such a great buying from the entire board, from the leadership, that if we just say that this is going to improve the quality of life of our women employees, or this will help them join more, it's done. And it has to be, until we reach 50%, we're not going to stop it. And we'll stop all of it when we are 50%. Equity is that. So money is definitely not put as a challenge or a stopgap. Secondly, in my life, I've never faced, if you have a right business idea, nobody will stop you from going for it. You need to be more convinced about it. And it will always happen.
So what's your message for women who are probably trying to convince the business to do more?
You need to have a solid business case. You need to not talk about, I want to do it because I think it is right. You have to say, you have to do it because that's right for you. just put the pressure on the reverse side. It will happen.
Great, thank you. You want to add something to that?
No, when you said about this, I just said, when we talk about all these changes that we do to make the workplace better in terms of lifting, like we do similar at Nestle too, where we have lifting devices, bag lifting devices, where we have automation for repetitive tasks. I think it is, we should say it is for both. It's not only for the ladies, it is also for the men that these are health issues. And from agronomics, you need to work on this. And I don't think when we talk of safety of and well-being of our employees, there is no money involved here. Right? It's, that's this that we have at Nestle. Safety comes first for all, whether it is man or woman, it comes first.
Yeah, safety has no gender.
No gender.
Absolutely. So I have a personal question for you. 30 years into manufacturing, traditionally male dominated. Of course, last 10 years you would have seen more women coming into the workforce. But 30 years ago when you started and all the wonderful roles you did, you went to the corporate, managed quality across the globe for the indulgence categories that Nestle has got. You have come back to India and now you manage a lot of factory and all that. So how did you navigate? What were some of your personal experiences that can inspire many other women on here as well as people maybe in the future? What is your message to them to get to manufacturing and how they can build their career?
Yeah, I think I've been fortunate to be with Nestle. It's a wonderful organization where we have a lot of policies and processes that help us build our ourselves. So during the early stages, we have this TT program. I joined Nestle as a TT. So when I joined as a TT, I was the only girl because we hardly had girls doing food technology courses. Even in CFTRI, we were just 3 or 4 of us out of the batch of 30. So when I joined Nestle, it was very, you feel the apprehension because first you're out of college, you don't know what to do. But then the process of having what is your job, you have a rigorous 2-year training, and that's when they help, the company helped to go through different parts of the operations, like you go into engineering, production, and quality, and then you decide what suits you best, and then they let me go into where I wanted to. And as the decades went by, with the different learnings, what is important for us, I think as ladies, is try to find what you enjoy. Don't try to fit yourself into something. Never try to be a man, because in those days everyone said, okay, in a man's world you have to behave like a man, but I strongly disagree to that. Be yourself. I think it's very important that we be ourselves. And in the organization, it's also important then and even now that when ladies are there, sometimes we don't put our hand up. We are the last ones to talk. Yes, I too was the last one to talk. But I think my managers made sure that at least I had my say. So initially it takes time for us to open up, but over a period of time you get the confidence and then you can boldly talk. And I think chase your dreams was what I would tell my next generation or the teams who want to go into manufacturing. It's not difficult. It's just go behind. And recently I came across Anita Bogle's session, and she said, we are equal and yet different. I think all of us don't want to be treated specially. All of us want, we are gauged like all the men, we are gauged on our performances. We don't want an exception there. Yes, but then we are different, and we have to accept the fact that we are slightly different, and the needs of the girls are different, the needs of women are different. And I think if the organization helps us with that, it helps us to mature out. What one good thing which helped me manage is through getting mentors. I think some of us shy to look out for mentors, but I think what I would encourage all of us here is to look out for mentors, because whenever you are transitioning between roles, you don't know what the role may ask. If I am like when I shifted to Switzerland, I didn't know what to expect. And taking the family, going there, it was a big challenge, and your mind is boggling because the HR keeps sending you tons and tons of mails saying that you have to do these things. That's when I got a mentor who explained to me and told me how to settle down in Switzerland, what were the best ways and the shortcuts. So mentoring need not be only on your job, it can be on any aspect when you're passing through your career. And I think that's what the organization gave me, and I was able to navigate through.
Yeah, but on a lighter note, 30 years in one organization, TA people won't
Yeah,
have
it's
a
not
job.
fashionable these days. I'm sure many of you must be thinking on sometimes when I introduce myself and I say 33 years with Nestle, and then I say, okay, they must be thinking what a boring personality. But then I think because of the wide variety of roles, like in Nestle we call something called deepen, broaden. So I've been broadening and also deepening and then stepping up, and I never felt that I was doing routine. I never got bored. So the moment I get bored, then I'll think something outside. I don't have a CV. So when they asked me to give a CV for the program here today, I was wondering what do I give them, because my HR said, please give your CV. I said, I don't have a CV. And that's how it is. But
No,
then I
absolutely.
enjoyed it.
Actually, I had a longer note to introduce you, but it was actually quite overwhelming to see the kind of roles you have done. And we should definitely, Nestle as an organization should be appreciated to have really given that platform to somebody like you, and for you to have, even looked up to and moved as well. So
yeah, that's why we have to give it back
congratulations on
also,
that.
and that's
Absolutely.
one thing that we drive passionately in our operations. We are now 40% of our technical leadership is women. And Sanand factory, we have got around 40% of women on the lines. Our dream is to make it at least 50. Like what you were saying, we believe we don't want to be partial to the women. So we have equity of having. And also another area we are strongly working is on the specially abled people. And our Sanand factory, we have got specially abled this. And I think this is the first in the food industry that we are trying out. And yes, we have lots to do.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So, Karthik, this brings to talent attraction. You have done talent attraction in IT and, of course, now in manufacturing. And Jyoti spoke about how important it is for manufacturing companies to actually go out and speak about opportunities and all that, especially at Biocon. And you're seeing the competition, right? Nestle wants 50%, Hero wants 50%, Cargill wants 50%. So how do you go about it? Maybe any thoughts, or how is Biocon doing?
Yeah, so Kiran Mazumdar has actually publicly announced that 2030 we are going to be 50-50. All right, so that's my target, you can see in the coming years. So I think one, I'll start again with a small little story. I think we need to break the bias barriers at work. So say a year back I was just building a house outskirts of the city, and every Saturday, Sunday I would go, and I would obviously, you need to be there to push and get the work done. So I would just pack my meals and go and spend morning to evening, Saturday, Sundays, and come back. So one of the days happened to be, and I obviously, I had a contractor, engaged a contractor, I would pay him the money every time, right? So one of the days I was curious and I was sitting there watching, it just happened. So these are your daily wage laborers who come, construction workers. So I noticed that my contractor was paying 600 rupees to men and 450 rupees to women. And I was a little surprised. I didn't know that, right? So I kept quiet, and then I went and asked him, so why are you differentiating the salary? He said, no, this is how it is. And then I told him that, and if you see, right, we all, spoke about women can do certain tasks, not certain tasks and stuff. And all the women are actually doing the heavy lifting job. They are lifting the stones, bricks, mixing the concrete, mortar, bringing it, carrying, and the men are just doing the final touch, right? I don't know how to call it, which is a skill in this, right? And then again I further dwell and I said, okay, all right, so why don't I see any women do the other work, right? Because traditionally this is how it has been told that, women will carry bricks and then men will do the plastering work and all of that, right? So there's no logic to me here, right? I think we all say that when I go to my managers, when I started with Biocon, when I say that no, women can't do this job. Yeah, some quality work, yes, but they can't be on the shop floor. There is heavy lifting work, this, that, right? Now, when I go back and see this happening in front of me, and I was literally shocked, then the good thing I did was that I said, it's okay. I'm engaging him. I said, make everybody's salary the same. Okay, if you want to pay 600 to everyone, do that. I think it starts with us. It starts with each one of you in the room, changing some of these things. So now, Ravi, so taking this back to work, it was very difficult for me. And when I said the 50% target, but when I joined, we were 18% on the shop floor, okay? Or the gender diversity or women diversity of Biocon Biologics was only 18%. Today, in 3.5, 4 years, we are 30%, okay? And there's a huge shift. So last year, the financial year we closed, my team did 40%. Right? When you go and ask them, normally they say it is not possible, it is difficult, it is not doable. We have to really think innovative. One, of course, we have to do a lot of change management and thinking. There are people, there are plant managers, who are sitting for 20 years, 25 years. Traditionally, they've said that, this is what I need and stuff. But, and I think I spoke about the apprenticeship program, right? So it was easy for me. And of course, this is a organizational target for everybody in the organization, right? Last 2 years, we have said that every person, top 20, you need to improve the diversity. Now we went and said, I told my team that, okay, you are having 250 to 300 interns or apprentices every year, right? We hire. I said, hire all women, okay? So if somebody has a problem, come and tell me. Now, it is not part of the budget, so nobody is coming and questioning me. So we stopped. Last 2 years, part of our NAPS and NATS program, we pretty much hire 90 to 95% women as apprentices. Now, this is the change what we are driving, right? So and they go learn the job. They finish. By then, the managers, supervisors, stereotype is changed, right? So they see them work, they see them deliver work in a better way. Probably another 3 years going back to analytics, we will be able to prove that they perform well, right? So we need more data for that. Now we did this, and I stopped all the hiring from outside at an entry level, right? So we said we will not hire anybody. They will all come from this batch. So now one side door is shut. So I have 200 to 300 people every time going through apprentices. All are women. And they get it, because you need to start there, and that is when 10, 15 years you will see more women leaders everywhere, because we are not doing that. One is preference, choice, whether they want to do or not, and another one is that, how do we enable, break barriers on the ground, which will help more and more women enter. So, and that's how we did a 30% today, right? Probably this year I have a 33% target, it'll go to a 38, 40, and this is the only way you can do. Somewhere you need to be strict change and bring in a little bit of difference in the way we look at things and hire. So that's what we did, Ravi, and then hopefully, a lot of companies are picking up this model, and I would recommend go and look at the apprenticeship model and increase the diversity. If not, I think you spoke about, Nirmala, about the campus. Again, it's tough, but we did a 60-70% on campus. Early talent is the only way, because you need to create interest in women for some of these jobs. Probably they were told that this job is not for you. You can do a different job, right? You can sit at home. You can sit at work from home, what I meant, or a lot of industries allow some of these things, but definitely it's a mindset shift to me.
Do you see actually rural locations of the plants also affecting talent attraction, usually? Like if they're outskirts, or generally, do you see women dropping out because of that?
Yes and no. But again, there are companies, I think colleagues from Tata Electronics sitting here, so they do a great job. I know I've seen buses go. It's how you enable, right? Pick up from door, drop them back, provide some great policies, great maternity breaks, all of that. So it is yes and no. Some companies do great. Some companies will have to catch up, and we need to also go back. And we spoke about a lot of plants where it's run by completely women, right? Where are they all coming from? They all come from rural, right? And we have a huge market, and then a job is very important for them, right? Again, I can keep telling stories, right? But So I have nannies, maids at home, they are so sincere, right? And half of their husbands don't work, right? They are the main breadwinner of the family. So I think bring another angle to it, that most of the rural women, they support families, right? And the job is so important. And it's how we make the job beautiful with some of the, all of us sitting here. How can we adopt villages? How can we go reach to the house, go and tell their family saying that, hey, listen, this is where your daughter or daughter-in-law is working. So come and see the facility. So make it more comfortable for them, and you will get more and more talent from rural India. Yeah.
Beautiful. So while I know we have a few more minutes, I just have two very interesting questions for Jyoti and Nirmala as well. Jyoti, of course, like Karthik said, one part is you attract and you develop. As a HR leader, of course, leaving the DI hat aside, talent development becomes very, very critical in this journey. What challenges as a HR leader do you face? Of course, we have seen dropouts also due to life events that happen. And what are some of the best practices that you've seen across in your earlier companies, maybe Honda or now Hero? How do you actually drive? Maybe if you can share some thoughts with everyone.
Very important question, Ravi. Getting women in contingent, I thought it was difficult. I saw last year it is easy. You have to touch the network and one can bring 10. Once the village is convinced it's a safe company to work, they'll send you 10. Hiring GTs, I tried it, it is still easy. Developing women, taking them to the leadership level is hugely complicated. First of all, there's a huge drop of women from junior level to middle level, and from middle level to senior, and to top level, it's just, you can count them on the numbers. Now, women itself is not ready to take it because there are biases in them. I'm not ready to take that pressure. It takes too much of time from my side. Second, there are men who are deciding and they have this mindset, oh, she cannot do this, right? So this gets more complicated. And here is where, I think the HR and the leadership has to really work hand in hand, and we are doing it at Hero, where we are making more discussions, more performance discussions, development discussions, opening the portfolios for a woman to move from HR to marketing, marketing to customer service, IT, whatever you want to, train them for that role. Until unless within the organization, we have right here, a case which is developed inside because you provide the ecosystem. It will not happen. If we think that a woman in IT can become a CIDO, no, she will not, because that's too tough. But she can definitely do a better role in a CRM, right? And that's the career path which we are right now creating. So what we are doing is we are doing programs for women to deal with first what I keep on hearing is a victim mentality. I cannot do this, or if I do this, this is going to be a problem. So those are things which we are dealing. We are assigning mentors to them, and mentor is somebody who has to be knowing your job and has to be a sponsor for you, has to promote you. So that's a responsibility on the mentor which we are putting, and we are also aligning some counselors for doing discussions. We have created within Hero a Heroes network where we have identified some leaders and we do those closed room group discussions. So first thing which we are treating is whatever we talk in this room stays in this room. Because if you hear about somebody and you just go out and tell, this is not going to help in developing. So you open up, you share your inhibitions, and our top leadership is investing that time. So it has to happen first externally. You have to bring the external training programs if there are skill gaps. Second, the leadership, the existing leadership has to invest their time and effort and experience in bringing them here and have to give a mind. So we were just doing our appraisal cycle. We did some checks, and these checks we didn't announce to anyone. We did checks how many promotions are there. We checked in the bell curve, how many are at 2 and 1. And 2 and 1 were more women. So easy to say, any performance nahi aa rahi hai. So we just sent 5 questions. Tell me, out of the rest, is this not matching this? So when we started putting those checks, and when this This check is going to happen on you. If you don't do it, the change is happening. So I think the intention has to be very clear. The agenda has to be very clearly laid down, and the sponsorship has to come from the leadership. Then only we can bring more women leaders growing, and then you have to prepare the women to come and ask for it. They will not come forward and ask. Very few will come and say, I would go for this job. I'll give you my example again. I have been living in NCR all my life, 20 years, worked only in NCR. I got an opportunity which was, one center in Jaipur, another in Germany. My family is there, my parents are there, my husband, my son, everybody is there. I decided to go to Jaipur. It created a hue and cry. To so many people I have to explain everything is right in my family. So, because there was an opportunity and I decided I'll take this opportunity, I'll leave my house behind, I'll travel over the weekends. So, now I talk about it. I realize that so many of the women are not even considering a change in location because they think they are rooted to the family. So I said that thing can be managed. I have to train my husband, I have to train my son to manage their lives. I will come on the weekends and we'll have dinner and lunch together. So I think it is at personal level, it is at official level, leadership, investment to the agenda is the most important thing. And at Hero, we have created these circles, we have created these forums where we are particularly investing in middle and senior level development of women. We are bringing them on board. We are doing programs externally and internally. Buying up this agenda is signed off. So in our annual, 8th of March event, the chairman came and announced it.
Wow.
So that was, that's how we are progressing ahead on this.
Beautiful. You want to add any thoughts, Nirmala?
Yeah, I think the agenda is there, the drive is there, I think the buy-in is there. Everyone wants it. But what is important is also when we talk about our operations, I speak more for the operations, we also make sure that our factory managers, sometimes they have apprehension, like she said, she may not do it. We said, give it to her. Give it to her, give it for 6 months, let's try. If she doesn't like it, because it's also important that the candidate, the lady wants to do that job. And then you see, we have a recent case where we made her a production manager and she's delivering excellent results. Quiet, doesn't talk, doesn't blabber, but then the results show. So sometimes it's very important to push our leaders in the factories to take the chance or to make them realize that it's important. And they sometimes going behind KPIs is not important. It's important to see how the how part or how we can get them to stabilize in those operations. That's one, that ecosystem needs to be created, and we also need to spend a lot to change our mindsets of all our leaders. It's not that it just because the head is saying that you have to do it. It's also important that the colleagues, the peers of the women, they all accept this fact, or they are sensitized to this fact that it is, yes, they are also going to compete with you now. And when it comes to performance, we do have evaluations. We call it the People Day. And when we talk there is focused discussion. Yes, for every position that is coming, we need to have minimum 2 ladies there nominated. Beautiful. That's the agenda, and yes, the best one wins. We cannot, as I said, equal but yet different. For the performance, we'll have the same yardstick for both.
It's based on merit.
Based
at
on
the end
merit,
of the day,
yes,
of course. Great. So I know people, I'm sure you've forgotten your hunger, but with this discussion, but I'll be happy. I think I'm just opening up for everybody to ask 1 or 2 questions. If there is something, yes, person at the last, I'll come back to you.
I'm Ojasvi, and I'm a college student, and my company is media partner with the Government of India, but I must say that a venerable panel like this has very rarely enamored me like today. My question is in reference to the McKinsey report, which talked about how AI will wipe out a lot of jobs for women. Mostly because women are in more blue-collar jobs as opposed to the white-collared ones, which means that maybe women need to seek more jobs within STEM, which is what I think the rep from Hero is talking about as well. So my question actually comes from the case study of Siemens. They have a factory in Kalwa, Mumbai, and they digitized it, because of which using the Siemens Technical Academy. So my question was, maybe diversification and inclusion Where is it needed more? Is it needed when we're recruiting them within the apprenticeship that we're talking about, or when we talk about redirecting them from varied fields and then streamlining them into focused manufacturing? Or would it be by lowering the attrition rates of the company? What exactly would be the bigger priority in terms of making sure that women are more in the workforce?
Yeah.
Sure.
I think, yeah, interesting question. Thanks for setting the context as well. I think it's no more today the organizations recruit people just not keeping one skill or one job in mind. All right, so at least when we, a lot of us have moved into it, right? In our organization, especially what we do is, there is a certain assessment, right? Talent assessments you do at the recruiting stage. So what we started doing is that, and I think let's be honest, right? Many a times we look for a certain skill, competency, behaviors, etc., and then we leave those papers aside, and then we just move forward. But you know, that's like really the goal. When you're assessing people, so that actually helps in talent development, right? So what you assess. You know, there are various assessment tools. I'm not getting into that, but what we do is when we recruit people, we look at the long journey, right? There are companies where people tell them that in 5 years, what role will you be doing when they're recruiting people, right? We are moving towards that. So you need to start looking at, of course, AI will come and some jobs will get cut and stuff, but doesn't mean that people won't have jobs, right? So people will keep learning new skills. And one is that, and second is we also have an assessment, it's not a center, but people can voluntarily go and take some of those assessments, which will actually help in identifying what skill you're good at, what skill you're missing, so you can start developing yourself. It's all self, right? So nobody's going to come tell you that you have to do this. It's on your own interest. So I think that's the future. So we will keep developing skills 2-3 years, especially in the IT world. So manufacturing is a difference. So in the IT world, 2 years, 3 years, the skill is done, right? If you don't kind of brush up, start learning, then you don't have the job. I think that's the same in case with the manufacturing industries as well. You equip yourself and keep learning, keep rotating. In fact, Ravi will agree, right? Both of us were discussing some time back that our demands have been decreasing year on year, right? We are not hiring too many people from outside. What that means is a lot more people are doing rotation of jobs internally and taking up different jobs. I think retention is the new recruiting, right? So you have to retain people by only developing their skills and moving them to different jobs. So hope that helped, but otherwise, we can catch up over lunch and then, discuss more as well.
Yeah, I think when automation starts, this is something natural to come out. This will take away jobs. I was sitting with one of my interior designer friend, and she said, Jyoti, ChatGPT pe sab kuch aa raha hai, my job is lost. And I was looking at her and I said, go to Insta and see how many grannies are now making laddu stories, nimbu ka achar and paratha. They have become entrepreneurs, yaar. What are you talking about? It is going to shift, and rightly said by my friend. People are learning more skills, and the kind of jobs which are getting created, we can't even think of it. YouTube is biggest employer. Can you beat that? Right? So I think we are learning more skills, and I don't see any threat to jobs because of AI, MI. It is simplifying things. It is making us, I would say, a more simpler way, and easy jobs are happening now. So I don't see any threat to it. Rest assured.
My nephew wants to become a YouTuber. That's the job. That's
Yeah.
the job.
So just one point to add, there is anything, so in our work, right, we also need to, as an employee, when you're working on it, you should also look beyond your role. That is one part, because if you're doing operations for a long time, which is monotonous, like how Arjun told in the morning, anything that is monotonous and repetitive can be done by a bot or an AI or whatever. So the interest also to outgrow the role should come from the individual, and AI doesn't know male or female. So diversity maybe because, I don't know where McKinsey, maybe I'll also see that. But yeah, it's beyond diversity. I think it is just about the elevation of talent, the human mindset that is that needs to do better things than lower level operational work. Yeah. One last question. Yeah.
The perspective why I'm asking, because I have seen a difference in handling the customer. The way manufacturing people handle their customers and the way IT people handle their manage their, with their customer is a little different. So is there any visible differences in the...
Yeah, there is.
Thank you.
Definitely. So I think every organization is different. Every business is different. I think we all need to adapt, change the way the industry works, right? So when I moved from Accenture after 10 years, I joined this company called Quintiles, and it became IQVIA later. Accenture teaches you to be very aggressive and get things done fast. I went and did the same thing. I would have lost my job if I tried doing that for one more month, right? So my business leader called and asked, like, he told my boss that, what's wrong with this guy? Why is he asking these questions? And I asked the right questions. I think we need to, there is difference, short answer. But how do we, how much of difference we need to bring in, understand the organizational context, what's the pace at which business is going, what is required is something we need to look at. Yeah, that's why it's interesting to kind of move around. Some people are lucky, like, some functions you can move around within the industry, which will give you great exposure on what you've learned to. Yeah, so there is difference.
Yeah, there is difference. So what is that difference? Is there any highlighting point? Can you highlight those? One or two points which is different?
The difference is in dealing, of course, I think you said the customers itself.
Yeah.
Okay. The kindness, politeness, every action has a reaction. So how do you want to, because the industry itself requires something different, right? You need to be fast, you need to be quick. So there are certain qualities, behaviors, attributes you might look in for, in certain industry. In certain industry, it is slightly different, right? So right now, I think we call it the success profile. So what is that you need to be successful in doing that job? You'll have to look at it. Many of us possess all of that. It's how we use it, how much we use it is important, right? Not everything will not work everywhere. So interesting question. So we'll discuss more outside, and I see a lot of.
Let me just, Karthik, add to just two words,
Yes,
which
ma'am,
is
please.
my learning. In service industry, it's the result, and in manufacturing, it's the process.
Okay.
What I want to understand is when a female candidate is recruited, in the recruitment process, how is the mindset evaluated? Is it left to the subjective assessment of the recruiter, or is there any nuanced version of how mindset or how is it incorporated in the system?
Basically assess on behaviors, attributes, cultures and stuff. Definitely not looking at, the mindset. I really have to understand what you mean by the mindset, but it is mostly gender neutral. It's a long way, so we keep insisting workshops for people to forget the gender and start interviewing people, right? So yeah, that's my short answer.
You are right, mindset is there. And if mindset means bias, it is there in hiring. Both my colleagues might disagree. But it is very much ingrained. It is very much ingrained. And that's exactly where we have to coach and train and question. I normally review more candidates from my business heads who are rejected than who are selected. Because that gives me a portfolio of who is rejected. So it is there, and it needs a lot of work to be done.
One way to address it is in the hiring panel, you keep one lady and one man, and then you can see different views for the same candidate. Huh?
That works.
That works, and we do that. We make sure that there is at least one female manager who is in the interview panel.
Okay, with that, I know question during lunch. Next, Chandan has already given me a timeout since he has to do the vote of thanks, which will be very quick. But thank you so much for this wonderful event, and Thank you to all the speakers of the panel. Thank you for coming, and over to you, Pooja.
Ma'am, just wait. I'll request Swarupa to do the felicitation.